Hi, and welcome to Jane. In today's video, we're going to look at the practitioner's day sheet and all of Jane's amazing charting features. So here we've landed in the practitioner day sheet. And for today's demo, I'm going to use Marcus. He's our chiropractor. So in this view, Marcus can see his day sheet, where on the left is his list of appointments for today, and in the middle is Marcus's dashboard. The dashboard displays some helpful statistics about how Marcus is doing in the clinic. We can see information like the total number of patients and visits, and also the amount of money that Marcus is collecting. The dashboard is customizable, so if you'd like to turn this off completely, that's one option. Account owners can also adjust how much information Marcus gets to see in his dashboard. So for example, if you'd like to turn off the revenue side of this information, you could disable that and just let Marcus see information about the total number of patients or maybe the total number of visits. This area is also where practitioners will mostly do their chart entries. And they'll begin that just by clicking on their patient's appointment. So let's work with Stacy here. One click on Stacy's appointment brings us into her chart history. Practitioners could view entries made by other practitioners, or perhaps even view the intake form that Stacy completed. You can do a keyword search in here if you're looking for something specific. Or you could also do some filtering. So maybe Marcus is only interested in seeing his own entries. He could filter just by staff member, or perhaps a date range. When it's time to do the chart note for today, there's two main options in here. One option might be going back to a previous entry, maybe this one from August 18th, and just choosing to duplicate. Duplicating is a great time-saving feature. It gives you an exact copy and paste of a note that you previously created, and then you can simply adjust for today. So maybe we'll remove this sentence, and maybe we adjusted some different areas. The other option for doing a chart entry is to build a brand new template. So up here under New Chart Entry, I'm going to choose to use the template I've created called Exam Note. Chart templates are incredibly customizable in Jane. You can choose to build one from scratch, make it exactly the way you do your chart notes. We also have quite an extensive template library. So if you'd like to download something that someone else already created, that's a great option. Let's run through this chart entry I have here, and I'll show you some of the pieces that you can use to build a template. So one of the options we have is simply an open-ended note field, something like a chief complaint. You can type in this box, but you can also access a feature we call phrases. These allow you to build your own shortcuts to save time when you're typing. So for example, I can type the shortcut TMJ, and that brings in my pre-built sentence. If we keep scrolling down, we can access one of the most heavily used features, which is probably these checkboxes. You can also type a note here if you need to. If we keep scrolling down, we come to some more interactive features. So we've got a drop down here to indicate their pain frequency. We can use a sliding scale. We also have more checkboxes here where you might check a couple of different options at the same time. The next piece we have here is called options. So this allows us to build these sections where we can indicate perhaps something about their complaint progression. We can also use this area to build out a little bit of a narrative. So here I have a question: the complaint is relieved by, perhaps that might be lying down. When I select my option, you can see that Jane builds a narrative here for me that I've pre-built when I designed this template. We also have interactive images, something here like our spine. This allows me to check boxes left and right, and I can also draw on my image. So if I grab my pencil tool, I have a couple of different thicknesses and a couple of different colors to choose. I can use this to sort of draw on the screen and really interact with this image. On the right-hand side, I still have an area to type notes or to access my phrases. Towards the bottom of my template, I'm utilizing a lot of drop-downs to save me time with typing. And I'm going to do a similar thing indicating the patient's plan of care. Now, when I get to the bottom of my template, I can actually choose to keep adding items. So if today I decide I needed something extra, maybe I'd like to record my patient vitals, I can drop in that piece. You can have the vitals displaying in metric or imperial. And perhaps I'd like to add in one more open-ended note field. Let's choose a note. Can even adjust the label as I go. And then I can type something in here. Or perhaps add another one of my shortcuts phrases. When I feel I'm finished with my note, I can simply sign. And signing puts my electronic time and date stamp on this, as well as Dr. Marcus's signature. Another fun feature that happens when you sign your chart is over here on Stacy's appointment. We get a little closed padlock. That's a nice little reference for Dr. Marcus so he can glance at his day and see that he's completed his note. To show you what these entries look like when they're completed, let's go ahead and try to view this chart entry. I'm going to change my template style to a letterhead. Just helps with the formatting. So you can see here unused checkboxes are removed. So just the ones that I've selected remain. You can see here my narrative, the image that I interacted with, and all the different checkboxes, sliding scales, and notes that I inputted. At the very bottom, we've got Dr. Marcus's signature, and as well as any license numbers or NPIs that need to be placed onto the chart. All right, let's close out of this and go back to the charts area. Another great time-saving feature that you can do in the charts is to pin certain sections. So perhaps this patient's chief complaint is very important. I'm going to pin that. And maybe I'd like to keep reference of this image. I'll pin that as well. Every item that you pin is placed at the top of that patient's chart area, sort of like a sticky note. So if you ever need to have quick reference to your adjustments or perhaps a note or some checkboxes, you can pin them to the top. And if you're ever finished with a pinned item, you can simply unpin, and there it goes. From this area in the day sheet, another thing we can do is bring up Stacy's appointment. So I'm going to click on her appointment from the left a second time, and that brings in the appointment panel. From this appointment panel, I can actually go down and check out maybe some insurance info for Stacy. So from this area, I can see that we've added on our billing code and the diagnosis, and that this patient is insured with Medicare. If I open up the policy we've created for Stacy, I'll be able to see even more information. So the billing code that we're using today We know it has an allowed amount of $35, so I've set that up in Jane in advance. And then I've inputted that Stacy has a 20% coinsurance, and Jane's going to do all that math for me. So she's calculated that Stacy owes us $7 today. I could go ahead and collect that right from this day sheet panel. So as a solo practitioner, you could perform all your daily functions from this one page: chart, book, arrive, and take a payment. All right, thanks for joining me on a tour today of Jane's practitioner day sheet and the charting. If you wanted to learn more about Jane or to book in for a one-on-one demo, don't hesitate to give us a call or to send us an email.